Hello everybody. Now pollination. Our next topic is pollination. But before that, a detailed structure of flower. Outermost sepal, then colorful petal, then stamen, anther and filament, then carpel, pistil, stigma, style, ovary, ovule, and inside the ovule there is embryo. Clear? So what is pollination? We need to study about pollination. होता क्या है ये pollination? First of all, we need to know what happens. So pollination is a process of transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. Anther से stigma तक pollen grain का transfer, that is pollination. Now what is this pollen grain? Pollen grains are found inside a granular kind of structure that is found inside the anther. Anther, this is anther. If we cut anther, then as you can see, the anther is having two lobes. Okay, two lobes. When we cut anther, then each lobe of anther is having this kind of parts. Two parts in each lobe. Okay, and in this part there is pollen grains are found. These are pollen sac. Each lobe is having two pollen sac. Okay, and in this pollen sac there are pollen grains are found, which are granular kind of structure. Inside the pollen grain there is male gametes are found, which becomes active during after pollination. Basically जैसे ही pollination होगा, after that male gametes are going to be active. So what happens in pollination? Pollen grains are transferred from anther to stigma. Okay, from anther to stigma. So this is pollination. Pollination is two types: self pollination and cross pollination. Self and cross pollination. What is self pollination? When pollination takes place in the same flower, like this, in single flower, then this is called self pollination. Okay, from anther to stigma pollen grains are getting transferred. But if pollination takes place in, again same thing I am going to explain, self pollination. If pollination takes place in two flowers of a same plant, that is also self pollination. Clear? So if in a one flower, self pollination. If two flowers of the same plant, that is also self pollination. But if pollination takes place one flower of one plant to another flower of another plant of same species, that is called क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन. मतलब जब एक ट्री एक प्लांट के अंदर चाहे एक फ्लावर में हो चाहे दो फ्लावर में हो, तो वो सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन. बट अगर दो ट्रीज हो गए सेम वेराइटी सेम स्पीसीज के, उसमें पॉलिनेशन हो रहा है, दैट इज कॉल्ड क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन. ओके, फ्रॉम वन फ्लावर ऑफ वन ट्री टू द फ्लावर ऑफ अनदर ट्री ऑफ द सेम प्लांट, सेम स्पीसीज, सेम कॉमन टाइप ऑफ स्पीसीज, नॉट सेम प्लांट, कॉमन और सेम स्पीसीज. सेम प्लांट में सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन, दो प्लांट में क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन. अब क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन में एजेंट्स भी चाहिए. देयर आर सो मेनी एजेंट्स ऑफ क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन, लाइक डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ इंसेक्ट्स, लाइक बटरफ्लाइज, हनी बीज, और भी कुछ इंसेक्ट्स हो सकते हैं. व्हेन दे come to take nectar from the flower, then the pollen grains get attached, get stick on their body, and it is getting transferred from one flower to the different tree, different flower of different same variety of flower, same species of flower of different plant. Two plants different but species is common, that is cross pollination. अब इनमें अगर हम बात करें, बिल्कुल दो डिफरेंट स्पीसीज हो गए, पॉलिनेशन इज़ नॉट पॉसिबल, इट इज़ नॉट पॉसिबल. सो सेम स्पीसीज होना चाहिए तभी क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन होगा. क्लियर? तो एजेंट्स चाहिए क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन के, दैट मे बी डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ इंसेक्ट्स, हाउस फ्लाइज, बटरफ्लाइज, हनी बीज काइंड ऑफ. ओके, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन देयर इज अ चांस ऑफ वेरिएशंस, बट इन केस ऑफ सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन वेरिएशंस के चांसेस कम होते हैं. बट सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन में एक और चीज़ है कि सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन बाइसेक्सुअल फ्लावर में होगा एंड क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन बाइसेक्सुअल और यूनिसेक्सुअल एनीवन. बाइसेक्सुअल मीन्स दिस इज बाइसेक्सुअल, मेल एंड फीमेल बोथ पार्ट्स आर हेयर, दिस इज बाइसेक्सुअल. बट अगर सिर्फ फीमेल हो या सिर्फ मेल दैट इज यूनिसेक्सुअल. तो यूनिसेक्सुअल में ऑलवेज देयर विल बी क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन, डिपेंड्स अपॉन एजेंट्स. एंड bisexual में it doesn't depend upon agents, pollination takes place by itself. Now fertilization in plants. Fertilization होता क्या है plants में? What is fertilization? Fertilization is fusion of male gamete with female gamete. Fusion of male gamete with female gamete is called fertilization. And because of this fusion, what is formed? Zygote is formed. So this is fertilization, fusion of male gamete with female gamete, and because of fusion, zygote is formed. Keep in mind that male gamete are haploid, means half number of chromosome. At the same time, female gametes are also haploid, that means half number of chromosomes. And zygote is fusion of male and female gametes, so chromosome number going to become complete. This is diploid, 2n, diploid. Okay, so what happens when pollination takes place, that is transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma, then there are some sticky substance are found on the stigma. And because of those sticky substance, the pollen grain is able to form a tube and goes through this style. And after going through the style, it ruptures the ovule. This is ovary, inside the ovary is ovule. It ruptures the ovule wall and finally goes towards the embryo. This is the embryo sac. What is this? Embryo sac. As we discussed, in the anther there was pollen sac, like that here is embryo sac. Inside the embryo sac there are one egg cell at the center. On the bottom of this embryo sac there is egg cell बीचों बीच में, उसके साइड में synergids हैं. These synergids provide nutrients to egg cell. And यहाँ पे दो nucleus हैं, that is polar nuclei, and यहाँ पे antipodal cells. Okay, inside the ovule. When the pollen grain forms the pollen tube, then there are two male gametes. These two male gametes enters the embryo sac by rupturing this, and one male gamete fuses with this egg cell, and this fusion of male gamete and female gamete is called fertilization, and that results into formation of zygote. Clear? Now there is one more male gamete that enters here and fuses with the polar nuclei and forms a triploid. Okay? Later on, this triploid forms the endosperm of a seed. Clear? Now, after fertilization, this is what zygote, and that zygote develops into embryo. इसमें develop होगा embryo में later on, and this embryo is having hidden future plant. embryo के अंदर क्या है? future plant छिपा हुआ है. Now अब ये embryo होता कहाँ है? किसके अंदर? So after fertilization, this ovule becomes, ये जो ovule है ये क्या बन जाएगा? After fertilization, seed. और ये जो ovary है ये क्या बन जाएगा? After fertilization, fruit. Clear? An embryo के अंदर है future plant. And after fertilization, all the sepals, petals, anther, filament, everything torn out, just dried up and torn out, and only this part is left. And later on, ये जो stigma style है वो भी हट जाएगा. Only this much part will be swollen up and becomes fruit, and fruit के अंदर आपका seed आ गया, और seed के अंदर embryo है. Clear? Now अब यहाँ पे कितने हमने fertilization डिस्कस किए? 2. फर्स्ट वन इज fusion of male and female gamete. Second one is fusion of male gamete with polar nuclei. So this is called double fertilization. क्योंकि दो बार हुआ, so double fertilization. Okay, and triploid, क्योंकि यहाँ पे there are 3 nucleus, so this is called triploid. एंड यहाँ पे जो हमारा एम्ब्रियो सेल बन रहा है वो 3n हो जाएगा, 3n ट्रिप्लॉइड. बट ये जो है दिस विल बी डिप्लॉयड ओनली. ओके, सो फर्स्ट फर्टिलाइजेशन इज फ्यूजन ऑफ मेल एंड फीमेल गैमेट. दिस इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड सिनगैमी. एंड दिस ट्रिप्लॉइड, द सेकेंड फर्टिलाइजेशन इज basically you can say vegetative fertilization also. Okay, now anything left? I think everything is covered. इसको हम एग apparatus बोलते हैं. एग के साथ सिनर्जिड्स, ऊपर एंटीपोडल सेल, यहाँ पे पोलर न्यूक्लियस. सो डबल फर्टिलाइजेशन इज completed. This is how the fertilization takes place. And at the end ये जो एम्ब्रियो है, आप एक ड्राई सीड देखोगे, लाइक एक चना का सपोजिंगली सीड है आपका, यहाँ पे एक नॉच सा दिखेगा आपको, अ नॉच. Inside this notch basically embryo is hidden, यहीं पे छिपा हुआ है. And when we sow it under the soil and give proper water in presence of air, sunlight, all the nutrients, the tiny delicate seedlings comes out. जो sprouting है वो वही है. You can notice sprouting takes place from this part because embryo is here, hidden plant is here, from where the new plant arises. So इस तरह से न्यू प्लांट कम्स इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस आफ्टर फर्टिलाइजेशन ड्यूरिंग फेवरेबल कंडीशन. इन द नेक्स्ट वी विल स्टडी अबाउट रिप्रोडक्शन इन एनिमल्स. टिल दैट, बाय बाय.